My lords and ladies, knights, nobles, everyone here gathered in this rather tempestuous weather. We've had a bit of a conflab. Normally in this kind of weather we would actually cancel the show because of the supposed lightning storm that's coming. However, our Trebuchet mistress has said no, we're going to do this monster anyway. So just in case the lightning does come, we may have to cut it short, but here and now we're at this time. The year is 1359 and of course the enemy is coming. We need to test that our machines of war do work. And it is well known that throughout the land, this castle boasts the world's largest, the world's most powerful. Can I hear the biggest, the loudest cheer for the Warwick Castle Trebuchet? And can I hear another big loud cheer for our noble crew about to run in these terrible conditions? Can I hear a big loud cheer for the Trebuchet winding crew? But this crew is so good they will not start unless they're given the correct command word. The command this day is taken from the medieval battlefield, and that is the cry of havoc. So on the count of 3, everyone shout havoc and watch them move like gazelles. So after 3, go havoc. 1, 2, 3! Havoc! Let's slip the dogs of war. Now, my lords and ladies, it has to be said in medieval times, it's imperative that we do this quickly. And today, of course, it is also imperative that we do this quickly. It has to be said, early versions of this machine would use beasts of burden, horses and oxen to pull down on the massive throwing arm. But taking horse and oxen into a battlefield zone is fraught with difficulty and danger, costs money, manpower and resources. Also, let's be honest, if you take livestock into a siege line where there are a great many hungry soldiers, those soldiers do not look at your horse and oxen and think, whoa, that's a valuable military strategic asset. What they think is lunch, barbecue. So very soon those animals will disappear. And when those animals disappear, your war machines lay idle. So another answer was sought. Another answer was found. And of the various answers that Trebuchet engineers came up with, this was the most practical. This was the most effective. This Trebuchet design is based in the 13th century. It will bleed into the 14th century, and eventually it will be replaced by the cannon. The way it works is quite simple. We have 2 men in the wheel here, 2 soldiers in the wheel opposite. Connecting both wheels is an axle, and that axle in turn is attached to that throwing arm via that rope. So the men's action of walking in the wheels turns the axle, spools the rope, pulling down on that throwing arm. I hope I've made it sound simple. The reason being that over 10 years ago, I was here at this castle. I've been coming to this castle for 2 decades. I witnessed this machine being constructed. In that first season, I had the great privilege of actually walking in those wheels. I know exactly what it feels like. Imagine the lactate building up in the legs. The breath will catch in the chest. And that just gets steadily harder and harder and harder. There is no relief as the arm comes down. You are pulling an amazing amount of weight. The arm itself is made of 2 ash trees and weighs 1 ton. The counterweight, which is now rising out of the heart of the machine, that counterweight is made of oak, and when empty, it weighs 1 ton. Add to that the 5 tons of ballast that we've got in that box, that counterweight, and there's 7 tons there being moved by 4 people in a matter of moments. Yes, the weight is diminished somewhat by the pulley system that we're using, but you're still pulling down on a massive amount of weight. These guys are working incredibly hard in these conditions. This technology was taken from construction technology. You'd use these wheels to actually help us build castles. Now we've taken that same idea and we're going to use it to destroy castles. Note the rotation of the wheels and the speed they're going at. Each revolution is checked by the weight that's been pulled down. And our Trebuchet mistress at the rear of the machine, she's now about to shout out distances and speeds to our winders in the wheels. They can't see a thing, or they have to look out the side. So they're reliant on her communicating with them clearly and succinctly. Let's listen to her communications. "6 feet. 4 feet. 2 feet. The next commands will be winders, slow and hold. Now we engage the trigger. That's just got in there. A pin goes in to hold the trigger in place. A chain goes on the back to hold the arm down. We are locked down. but we cannot shoot the machine yet. The rope that's pulled the arm down, that which is beneficial is now a hindrance. Look how taut that rope is. So of course what we do is we order our winders in the wheels, one to get out to become a brakeman and the other to turn around. And in a moment they'll start walking in the opposite direction. All the weight has now been taken off the wheels, so they will now flow more freely. In theory you'd think this is good, not quite so strenuous, but this is not the case. For winders this is where it gets truly dangerous, because each wheel weighs about half a ton. When you get that tonnage going, it will just get faster and faster and faster and faster. It may get too fast, and if it goes too fast, our winders in the wheel could fall. They could go to the top of that wheel, because their body weight will not stop the rotation, and then they would fall and break their back on the axle. And that would be a tragedy. We can't replace these guys until after the bank holiday. That would be tragic. So of course we've got someone on the brake, and they're slowing it down. And look at the wheel there, you can see it clearly rotating that much quicker. Our Trebuchet mistress is at the rear of the device. She's placing the sling down the middle of the machine, the two wheels. And of course in a moment, she will also be tying the hoist rope off to the sides of the machine. All that's about to happen in front of your very eyes, because I'm about to go off at a tangent at this point. You see, once that sling goes down the middle, we then have to set the missile. Oh, and we've got options. Oh yes, this is where it gets a bit bloody, I'm afraid. You see, we could go for the ultimate option. Ultimate always sounds good. Ultimate just means final. That's what it is, the final option. And that is fire. We could send fireballs sailing over a castle wall. Now, we want to get one loose every 6 minutes. That's 10 looses in an hour from one machine. Typically, you would find 10 or 12 of these machines. That's 100 to 120 looses in an hour. Can you imagine the fireball, the firestorm we would bring down upon your heads as we burn out your town, your castle and your citadel? Can you imagine the black column of smoke rising for all to see for miles around? Can you imagine the conflagration that would ensue from that kind of tactic? We would leave behind us a blackened, ruined, charcoal, skeletal building. Nothing left. All the people come running out, and yes, we've denied that building, that resource to our enemy. The only problem is we've denied it to ourselves as well. So you can't do that all the time. Self-defeating. So maybe we should do something else. Maybe we, rather than attack the architecture, let's attack a weak point of a castle. Every castle, believe it or not, has the same weak point. Every castle has the same weak point, no matter how it's made. And that's the people that live inside it. If I attack you, I get my job done and I don't wreck anything. So we take the rotting carcasses of animals, leave them rotting in the sun for a few days, send them sailing over the castle wall, so you all get covered in rotted, rancid flesh. Or we could use pots of lime, send that sailing over the castle wall as it smashes on the cobble streets and you all get covered in quicklime. It reacts with the moisture in your skin and it will burn. You'll be in serious pain. You'll be screaming to come out. Maybe we take the heads of our enemies, chop them all up and send them over the castle walls. You go about your daily business and you're catching Uncle Joe's head at the same time. That would be novel. Or we could get really nasty. We could take pots and we'd fill these clay pots full of, how do I phrase this? There's a lot of soldiers. It's a big latrine pit. It needs to be emptied. We'd fill those pots full of poo. And we would send pots of poo sailing over the castle wall. And you'd all get covered in poo! How does that feel? Oh, you're okay with that, are you? Oh, fair enough. It has to be said, it's not nice. And also, all these soldiers have got dysentery. Children, if you don't know what dysentery is, ask your parents over dinner. Medieval man called it the bloody flux, also known as soldier sickness. And it's a killer. Henry V would die of this. No matter who you are, this will kill you. So imagine pots of dysentery, effectively, being sent over a castle wall. But in truth, another option we have is we can actually form a breach. We can actually localize and focus the damage on one spot, bring down one wall. With that, well, we're going to use an 18-kilo rock and we're going to send it at 150 miles an hour and we're going to go some 200 meters. Medieval man would use something closer to 80 kilos, close over 300 yards, 300 meters rather, and he would smash a wall down. He would send his army in. You good people are my army. If you've got a sword, raise it high. And raise your voices and let me hear your battle cry. this is landlocked Warwick, and I've got an army of pirates. And you fight, and of course as you fight, you take over the castle, and I had myself a castle with a hole in the wall. Our trebuchet is called Ursa the Bear. She stands 18 metres tall, 22 tons, she's made of ash and she's made of oak. She is a construction fit, and right now she's ready to go. Our trebuchet mistress waits at the rear of the device. We're going to take off this chain. So everybody, after 3, shout, remove the chain, listen for the reply. 1, 2, 3! So the arm is now free. We need to engage the trigger. To do that, we need to remove a metal pin. So everybody, after 3, shout, remove the pin, listen for the reply. 1, 2, 3! Right, we're live. This is like the 13th century, right here on the island. It's really exciting. Let me get out of the way of your cameras. So we're going to loose this thing now. But I'm going to need your help. We have one vital component we're missing. And that component is a countdown. From 10 down to 1. And when you get to 1, the command phrase for this machine is not fire. It's not activate. We had a school yesterday that went, no, the other day rather, do it! Don't want that. Loose. Let's find out if the Trebuchet mistress is ready. Trebuchet mistress, are you ready? You're not the Trebuchet mistress. Right, here we go. Everyone with me as loud as you can. Are you all ready? Yeah! Let's do this before this thing becomes a lightning conductor. So everyone together. 10! 9! 8! 7! 6! 5! 4! 3! 2! 1! Loose! My lords and ladies, the mighty Trebuchet! And if I may say, before anyone goes anywhere, I've got to say, our crew have worked incredibly hard in those wheels in these conditions. So please, fill your lungs with air. Let them know you appreciate their efforts. Can I hear the biggest, the loudest cheer?